Welcome again, students, and good morning to all of you. So we are continuing the topic of object-oriented programming in Java. So in last session, we have gone through some of the conceptual and theoretical foundation for the object-oriented paradigm, and I told there are different paradigms in programming languages. So, for example, one of the common paradigm is procedural oriented programming, or you just say that procedure oriented languages. And C, especially C language, the very fundamental and the very basic language C, it follows a procedural oriented paradigm, but there are some limitations for procedural oriented paradigm. For example, mostly they work on function. So if big program is there, so they are divided into what different functions, different functions. And communication among the functions, it's very difficult. It's not no very difficult, but it makes program very complex, and it sometimes it makes your program problematic also. So to solve this problem, there are other paradigms also. One of the paradigm is functional, a programming language. So functional programming languages, for example, Python follows this paradigm. Although Python follows OOPS also, and Python follows procedural also. But why Python is famous? Because Python follows a functional programming paradigm. So in those things, actually, or in these kind of languages, the programs are written as a mathematical functions. Okay, as a mathematical functions. But one of the complete paradigm, kids, is this object-oriented programming. And as far as my experience is concerned, and you can confirm with any other experienced programmer also, and any other experienced developer also, this is the easiest paradigm. And to start with, any programming journey or any programming language, I would recommend you should always go with the object oriented programming. So you have number of options. You have C++, you have Java, even you have C sharp. C sharp is also, by the way, purely object oriented programming language. And then you have Python also. So these, some of the common options are there for learning the OOPS. And we are going with this Java part. We are going with this Java part because the Java is the first language which introduced pure object oriented paradigm. Pure, I mean, it is only and only object oriented paradigm. Then after that, we have seen that a lot of advantages are there for object oriented programming. We are not repeating that. The main thing is that if you are learning object oriented programming, so there are four main pillars. There are four main pillars. So I know I'm repeating this content, but this is literally very necessary. So first pillar is encapsulation, second pillar is abstraction, third pillar is inheritance, and the fourth pillar is what? Polymorphism. So to understand the encapsulation part, students, we have seen that in Java, this encapsulation pillar is implemented through a concept of what? Class and objects. Class and objects. Yes, and the abstraction part is uh, related to encapsulation. And in some of the books, I will recommend those books also. In some of the standard books, you will find these two pillars are same. So they say that there are only three pillars, but in most of the books you will find four different pillars. But in some of the literature you will find encapsulation plus abstraction is the first pillar, then inheritance is the second pillar, and then the polymorphism is the third. But we are going considering the majority of the scholars and majority of the books, so we will say that abstraction is a different pillar. Okay, so class and objects is going to show the concept of what? Encapsulation. This is first point. And the second point is that abstraction is achieved in Java through public, private, and protected keywords. So there is default case also, but this default case actually doesn't have any keyword. Okay, so this is a default case. If somebody is not specifying public, private, and protected, so the data members, member functions, or even a class, it will become what? A default. So when it becomes a default, its behavior is slightly different from these three, one, two, and three. We have to see that. Just but by this time we are focusing on class and objects only. So this is about the first pillar. Then inheritance is, I said it in last session also, it is about the reusability. So there are different kinds of inheritance available in Java. For example, single level, multi-level, hierarchical, and hybrid. Java doesn't support multiple inheritance, and we have to see probably in next session this thing. Then what is a polymorphism? The student polymorphism is, one last time, is it is one name and here multiple forms. One name, multiple forms is known as what? Polymorphism. So we have to see this also. In Java, actually, it is implemented through virtual functions and overriding. And just for your information, there is no keyword virtual in Java. There is no keyword, and there is no keyword overriding also. These two keywords, they are available in C sharp, and they are also available in C++. So they are explicitly mentioning virtual and overriding, but in Java it is not there. But inside, Java uses a virtual function and Java uses overriding. We'll come to that. But this picture I wanted to once again, I just wanted to bring you once again. Okay, so now after that, one important thing is that class in Java, students, there are three different perspectives. There are three different perspectives, and each perspective is very necessary to understand deeply classes in Java. So first perspective is, says that class is user defined data type. Class is user defined data type. So there are inbuilt data types in Java. For example, 8 inbuilt data types are there: integer, character, float, double, and you know that the other a byte, short, long, all of these inbuilt data types, you know that. But class is a user defined data type. User defined data type in a sense कि the compiler is not defining. We as a developer, we as a programmer, we as an app developer, we are defining the data type. And obviously when we are defining for the complex problems. So it is a complex data type. Complex in a sense, it can contain a many other informations also. Unlike very, a preliminary information, it can contain, advanced information, and it can act very precisely according to the data type. This is the first definition, and we have seen the examples also. For example, we have seen string is a user defined class, student is a user defined class, then employee is a user defined data class. Then two important classes I wanted to mention here. One is, I'll be going through, is circle, because it's very necessary to understand, and the other class is a very funny class, and this class is dog class. Not funny actually. Why I'm taking this? Purposely I'm taking this. So there is one very standard book. This book is, if you write, you can note it down also. At first Java. Just search for this book. At first Java. Yes, and this book is the most standard and the most popular book to understand Java programming. And it is written by one of the best author and one of the best programmer of Java, Kathy Sierra. You can find it. Just type it at first Java on Google, and you may find the PDF also, and you may find a different links for purchase of the hard copy and other things also. So this is the most famous book. So what I'm telling you, this dog class, actually it is given extensively in this book. So every example the book is explaining through dog class only. So we will consider two things. One is a circle class and one is a dog class. Circle class is related to computer programming, and this dog class is to understand and to remember the different concepts that we are learning, because object oriented programming deals with real world objects. So all of us surrounded by these real world objects. So Java, in this case, at first Java, I'm talking about this book, is giving examples of what? Some real world and funny examples, so that you can remember, you can learn easily, efficiently, and in a funny way also. So this dog class I will consider in today's lecture. Then The second perspective, this is the first perspective, class is a user defined data type. Then the second perspective is that class is encapsulation of data and functions. It is also equally important as user defined data type because it gives the definition. What it is saying that it is an encapsulation. So if you focus on this word encapsulation, it is having a word capsule in it, capsule in it. And what is a capsule? Everybody knows that capsule basically it's a unit in which you put something. Most of the time you put medicines in the capsules, but capsule can be anything which contains something. So here the something is what? One thing is data and another thing is function. So if you are putting related data and functions in one unit, this process will become what? Encapsulation. And the unit is called a capsule, and in Java this unit we call it as a class, we call it class. Yes, so a lot of different ways that we are understanding. So what is a class? It's a capsule. And what is a capsule? It is a combination of data and function. And the whole process, how you make a class, this process becomes what? Encapsulation. Another way to understand, and this way is very common in programming languages book also. And this definition is just like three words. Class is just blueprint. Blueprint. And what is a blueprint? Everybody knows that in civil engineering, students, before you start the constructions, first you make the blueprint. So blueprint is a template, or you can say, or the first starting point, and on the basis of blueprint the whole construction is going to be completed. So class act as a blueprint also. So once the blueprint is created, now you can create different objects also. As many as objects you want, you can create from that. So I think this is the revision of what we have done in last class. Now, this we have seen all. Okay, what is a string class and how can we create the actual string object in Java? This is student class, and how can we create the actual student in Java? Similarly, book, and then car also, and then employee also, and then dog also. So we are just considering one last time. We are just considering two classes. One is the circle class and another is what? A dog class. So from two perspectives, we are just moving forward. And coming to encapsulation specific definition. So if you want, then you can write it. This is a simple or simplified definition. It's wrapping of data. Wrapping means then you are making capsule like this. It's you are wrapping. When you put a wrapper, na, so the process is called wrapping. So you are wrapping data and functions in a confined area. What is this confined area? It's capsule. Capsule. And in Java, it is what? A class only. Okay, we don't have a word capsule in Java, rather we have a word class. Okay, so they are one and the same thing. So confined area, and it is known as encapsulation. So class encapsulates data and functions in a single unit called a class, so I'm using two times. Class encapsulates in a single unit called a class. This is with small. Okay, you will understand them, you will understand that. Then what are the components of a class? One most important component is obviously the variables. Okay, variables and fields. And to just say it simple, I'll call it member. And or more specifically, I can call it data member. And then methods are there, and then functions are there. They are one and the same things. Then you can call it member function. Member function. So mostly you will find three things in that. This is one, data member. This is two, member function. And the third thing is called a constructor. So it is member function only, but it is specialized member function. Why they are special? You will come to know soon. The constructors are, specialized member functions. So there are some properties for the constructors, and there are, some specific tasks, or there are some specific jobs for the constructor. So constructor is only used to initiate the objects, is for the initialization of the objects, and it is for the construction of the objects only. So when we define the class, every rule I will explain in that. Then, as I said, I would be considering this from my standard book of at first Java, this dog class, and then I would take my own example of circle class also. Circle class also. So as I said, there are mainly three things in that. Uh, Three things in that inside the class. But when you start this, the very first thing is name of the class. Name of the class. So here the name of the class is what? A dog. So you can write the name of the class. Then member, uh, member, data member. You will write it. Data member. See, this is a data member. Then you have this member functions. So what is a data member actually? It's a static property. Static property, that means most likely it is not going to change and it will remain static. It will remain static. For example, read is most of the time static. Then size, okay, slowly it will increase, but at particular instance will be fixed. Then color, obviously it is fixed. At one particular instance it is also fixed, the age is fixed. But these are the behaviors, these are the methods, these are the functions. So obviously they are the actions. So when they are actions, obviously they will change with time. For example, if dog is eating, so the function is eat. When the dog is sleeping, the function is sleep. When it is a playtime for a dog, so it's play function. When there is some need, or when he is giving some signal, or when he is protecting something, so obviously he will give another signal, and in the form of this bark function, in the form of bark function. So you are students putting these two things into a single unit, and this unit is called what? A capsule. And in Java specifically, we call it a class. We call it a class. So again and again, I'm saying two terminologies. So this is a capsule, but in Java, we'll call it a class. Another, different example that you can see here that we are going to consider is a circle class. A circle class. Okay. So what is the name of the class? This is circle class. And how many members are there? There is only one member, which is radius double. Okay, and its type is what? Sorry, its type is what? Double, and the name is what? Radius. Then what about these two functions? These two functions, these two are the students constructor. As I said, constructor is a special, you can say a method or a special function which has very limited functionality. And what is the functionality? It is going to initialize the object. It is going to initialize first time the object. And if you see here, there are some similarities. One of the similarity is that our class name is circle and our constructor name is also circle. In here also the constructor name or the function name is circle only, circle only. But here it is taking what? Some parameter, and this parameter is nothing but radius. This parameter is radius. And then the other functionalities is you can get the area, you can get the parameter, and you can even set the radius also. You can set the radius also. So likewise, you can define a class in Java. So two classes we are going to consider. Again and again, I'm repeating so that it should, inserted in your mind. When I'll write the code, nobody will get confused what we are doing here. Then uh, let's formally try to identify the object thing. And to understand the object, first is the definition, and I have put it as much as possible, the simple definition as much as possible. So just uh, uh, for the sake of simplicity, object is the instance of a class. It's an instance of a class. What is the meaning of instance? I'll tell you. Then it is real world entity dog such as dog and car, or even a circle. It can be created n number of times. So once the class is met, you can create n number of objects, because they are the instances and they are the real world objects. So you can create any number of objects, and when it is creating, obviously it is going to take memory. It is going to take memory. And one thing I wanted to I wanted to put some stress on your mind purposely. And what is the memory where the objects are created? Just think about it. It is the heap memory. Heap memory. So classes are special, you can say a data type, or it's a user defined data type. When the objects are created from the class, they are created on heap data structure rather than stack data structure. Then think this way to understand the difference between a class and the object. So here, if you see student, the class name is circle, okay, and the data field is radius, and these are the methods. Obviously, you will define a constructor also. This is a template, student. This is, you can write template, or you can write blueprint also, or you just can write definition. Okay, definition. But actual object is not there. Actual object is the instance. So when you are creating the object, so first objects with radius 1, so this circle has been created. With radius 5, this circle has been created. And with radius 125, this circle has been created. So what I'm trying to say, it's like a blueprint. It's like a template. So you are defining some of the things. There must be a radius, there must be area, there must be parameter, there must be something for the setting of the radius. So you have this template, you have this definition, you have this blueprint, and from this blueprint you can create as many as objects, and these objects are the instances of a class. For example, student, if I just say student, so it's a general term. It's a general term. But specifically when I'm saying a roll number, okay, roll number 1, and this student is Amit because its roll number is 1. So roll number 1, Amit, it's an instance of the student class. Same thing here. This circle is an instance of this class. Let me give you one more example, then you will understand. This example. For example, this is a blueprint of uh, you can say BHK flat. So the basic understanding and the basic guidelines are there in this blueprint. Once the blueprint is created, or once the blueprint is made, the students, you can create as many as objects. So you can create flat A1, A2, and A3, and all of the flats are following this blueprint only, because all of these flats are 1 BHK only. So once the template is created, now from this template or from this blueprint, any number of flats you want, you can create. Okay, similarly here if you come, dog is a general term. Okay, dog is just classification, dog is just a class, dog is just template, or it's just blueprint, but they are the instances. So one instance is there, second instance is there, and this is the third instance. This is the third instance that you can create. Similarly, I said it, from this circle template, you can create the circle objects also. With one problem students face, and they always ask, we don't have actually dogs in our program, and even most of the time we don't have circles also in our program. And the other example that you are giving is of the flats. So even we don't have a flats in our class, so what actual objects we have in our programs? So give me those examples. So I have those examples also. For example, there is a class button, and it's there in Java. Soon we will learn that class also. So this is a template, and when you are creating the object will look like this. So this is first button object. If you want more, you can create one more object. So this is the second button object. This is a different class, which is label. So if you want, then you can create a first label, and if you want, you can create other labels also. Similarly, this is a checkbox button. This is a radio button. Okay, this is a radio button. This is drop down list. This is text field. Again, this is a checkbox. So students, all of these are first templates, and when you are specifically creating, it will become an object. Or it will become the instance of the class. Now, as many objects you want, you can create. You want another button, no problem, you can create it. You want another long button, you can create it. You want a small button, you can create it, absolutely no problem. Okay, so all of them, this is 1, this is 2, and this is three. So all of them are the instances of the button class. Likewise, I'll give you one last example. There is a class called file. Yes, file. So you can create a file in Java. Yes, you can create file in Java. So when you are creating, let's say, a.txt, this is one instance. And if you are creating another file which is b.csv file you are creating, so this is another instance. So you may call it f1 file f1, and you may call it f2. So this is a real example that I'm giving, because many times I'm facing, if you are taking a dog example, the answer is pretty clear. You need to understand the concepts, and you need to relate to the real world things. Once you are once you become a comfortable in that, then you can go for the computer or the programming objects also, because you guys are strong. So I'm taking examples of the programming. Okay, so one example is button, and other examples are in front of you. One more very famous example is of file. Likewise, there can be a plenty of options for the object creation. Now quickly I'm going for program part. So how we can define a class in Java? There are things. So number one is, you note it down, all of you note it down, as the class structure. So a class is defined using a class keyword. So there is a keyword class followed by the class name. So you have to give a class name. So I'll start here. You have to write class. So you are writing a class which is a keyword, and then followed by a class name. So one class that I'm going to make is what? Circle. Then the body of the class is enclosed in curly braces. So you start here the class and you end here this class. So this is first definition of a class. Then the attributes. I said it, there are different names. Then instance variables also is another name, but you will call it only data members. Okay, data members. So the second thing that you have to define is what? Data member. So you can write it, because it's a circle class. So what you can write it as, let's say, radius. But when you are defining this data member, you have to tell the basic thing about the radius. And what is the basic thing? You can either take it as a double, or you can take it as a integer also. Just for the safer side, we are taking it as a double. So we are taking it double. What can be the other member? We can have area also. We can have area also. Obviously, you have to write it here double, because you want to define the type of the area. And then you can have parameter also. So you will write double here. In this case also, you will write it double. So with these three things, they will define what? Data members. Then here comes the member function. Here comes the member functions. So one is the normal, and another is what? A constructor. So student, what is a constructor? Now I think some of the points you can carry, and some of the points you can retain in your mind. It's a specialized function, and its name is same as that of class. So when it is a function, you can write like this: circle, and you can define as a function here, and then you can define a body here. So it will make this a function as a, or it will make this function as a constructor, right? And then define within a class using method signatures and method bodies. So this is about the method bodies. One different method you can write it is, here I'm writing is compute area. Compute area. So here again you have to find the body. And how can you compute the area? All of you know that area will be equal to what? This is not the actual code, just I'm writing a raw code. Area is equal to what? 3.14, which is pi, and then into radius, and again into what? Radius. I'll show you the complete program, but at this time you can understand that one, data members are required, another constructor is required, then the method, actual methods are required. So one of the method is compute area. Similarly, you can have a compute parameter also, and you can find out the radius also in this case. Then another example that you can take here is the dog example. Let's first define some of the rules for the constructor. And the first rule is that constructor name must be same as its class name. So both the names must be same. Then constructor must have no explicit return type. Okay, there is no need for the return type in constructor. If you put a return type, it will give you an error. Then this is advanced thing, but note it down here. There is something called abstract. This is not abstraction, by the way. This is about abstract classes and abstract methods. But just note it down. A constructor cannot be abstract, it cannot be static, and it cannot be final. And if you are following a multi-threaded programming, then it cannot be synchronized. At this time, please leave this point since it is there. So I'm taking it. Then each time object is created using a new keyword, at least one constructor is called. So this is these are some of the rules. First rule is same as the class name, no return type, and these keywords you cannot put it, and always you call the constructor with this new keyword. Then I have another class, uh, uh, again this is slightly advanced, but you can note it down. One is called a default constructor. So the constructor I made earlier, like this, in which no parameters are there, it is called a default constructor. No parameters are there. Then you can have a parameterized a constructor also. So you can write it like here, and then you can write it like this, double, double, and then radius. Okay, double radius. So it will become what? A parameterized constructor. Then the third category of a constructor is called a copy constructor. So right now we are focusing on only these two in our today's program. Later, maybe in the next session, we will see what is the exact purpose of copy constructor, and we'll see that constructor also. Okay, students. So now we quickly see how can we write the actual class and how can we create the actual objects in Java. So this is the first program that we made, and we made just the hello world program, and I have slightly changed the message. So let me execute this program in Visual Studio Code just to show the one line output of this, whether it is working or not. Even I have to see this and I have to check this. So it is working fine. So if you are adding any class, or if you are adding any, a template to your projects, so in Visual Studio it is quite easy. You have to just click here and you have to create a new class. So what is the class name? It is circle that we are creating. And what is the extension? Because it's a class in Java, so the extension is circle dot Java only, circle.java. So when you click on that, the basic structure it is going to give you. And this is a keyword that we briefly talked about, a public, private, and protected. As a rule, I'll give you three things as a general rule. Although this rule is not valid in every case, but 90% this rule is going to work. All the classes are public. Number one rule, all the classes are public. Number two, all the functions are public. All the functions by default are public, and all the data members that you are creating, it should be private. It should be private. In some cases it is going to change, but we are following a general rule right now in this first class. So what I would write here as a student, first I need to define a data member. So what is first our data member? Our first member is radius. Okay, and I'll start with this. And the type of radius is double, double. So, and then what else I can define is I can define area also. So I'm taking area. Okay. Then what else as a member I can define? I can define parameter also. So I'm taking simply parameter also. Parameter. Then here two types of constructors I'll introduce. One is the default constructor. So how can you make a default constructor? As I said, you write it like this: public, public, and then the class name. You have to see exactly, and this will become a default constructor. You are not doing anything here in this case. This will become what? Default constructor. Then the next constructor, I'll copy this and simply I'll paste it here, and here I will take one parameter, and the parameter, what parameter I will take is double radius, double radius. And inside this, I have to set this value. To set this value, you have to write this dot radius, you can choose this, and you would assign this radius. So I've written two things which is unfamiliar with you guys. So let me briefly explain you. First thing is this keyword. So simply you can understand when you are saying this, so it is talking about this class only or the current class only. In Visual Basic, we say me. In Python, we say self. But in Java and in C Sharp, we say this. This means what? This class I'm talking about. And this class, when I'm saying, so the radius of this class I'm talking about. So this dot radius is equal to whatever the radius you are obtaining from there. Okay, so now I can define further functions. Before I define a further function, let me close this area so that everything you can see here. So now another function that I can define is public, and the return type is void, and then I'm defining compute area. Compute area. And how can I compute the area, students? I would write this dot area. This dot area I'm accessing, and then what I'm assigning here is the value. And what is the value that I'm assigning here? 3.14 into radius. I can choose from here. I'm going slowly so that everybody can see and everybody can understand. The same thing I can copy here also, and I can paste it here. So this is how I'm defining the area. Now I can print the area in the same function itself. So for that, I would use system.out.println, and here I would write this thing, the area of circle is, and I would use here plus, and here I would write area. So I would write area. So what this thing will do, actually, this will print one message, student. This will print one message. The area of a circle is, and then whatever the area that we are computing here, it will come in this thing. Similarly, I can define compute. So I'm copying it. Before that, I just close it here. Compute parameter. So parameter. Now with this parameter, what you have to do is this dot parry, and here you would write 2, if I'm not wrong, uh, 2 pi r. So one radius you have to remove, and then you have to write 2 pi r. So 2 pi r, yes, absolutely right. Instead of area, you would write perimeter, and instead of area, once again you have to write pari. Okay, so this way it will give you what? It will give you the parameter of the circle, parameter of the circle. Now in two more functions I would write, you can use this function to print the radius also. So public void get radius, get radius. And here what you will do, students, simply you would copy this code, and here you will paste it, and instead of parameter you would write radius, and instead of parameter you would write what? Radius. Okay, hope you can understand, and I'm going slowly also so that everybody can understand. And then one last function I'm using here as a member function is what? Set radius. Should I go with this set radius or should I leave as it is? Okay, at this point, I'm leaving. When I'll increase this program, I'll show you how you can make a function for the set radius also. So now quickly, I'll come to my main class. This is the circle class. This is the circle class. And if you see, it's a template. Okay, it's a one unit. You can see that it is a one unit. What is the name of the class? The name of the class is circle. The name of the class is circle. Now inside this circle, you have these data members, you have these two constructors, and you have these three other functions: compute area, compute parameter, and get radius, which is just simply printing the radius. So I come here, students, and now I try to create the instances of a circle. Instances of a circle, that means we are creating the objects of a circle. So here I would write object creation. object creation. So in this object creation, what is the syntax that we have to follow? Remember from the last session. Now for you guys, it's very simple, because you know how we create the string object. A string s is equal to new string, and within the bracket you give the string part. How you create a student object? Student s is equal to new student. Similarly, how can you create the circle object? You would write like this: circle c1 is equal to new circle. Now here you see there are two availabilities are there. So I'm taking the second choice, and this choice, it says that you have to put a radius here. So I'm putting a radius as 1. Okay, radius is 1. So this way my one instance has been created. Now if I want another instance, so I can create another instance, and I can just change the object name, because two different objects are required. And here I would write 5. Here I would write what? 5. Now to call those functions, students, the compute area, the compute parameter, and the get radius, the syntax is object dot function. All of you note it down: object dot function. So what is the object? Here the object is c1, and what is the function that we are using? First is get area. Sorry, let's say first we start with the radius. So get radius. So here I'm calling the get radius. Then you can go like this: c1 and compute area. So you can use a compute area also. Then c1 dot compute parameter. So compute parameter, you can call this function. So let me give you one more time. What is the syntax for calling the function? Object dot function. And what is the syntax for object creation? This is the syntax for object creation. Now you can copy this code and you can paste it here, 3 line of code. And instead of c1, what you would do: c2, C2 and C2. So two objects we are creating, and with the different radius, and we are computing the area, and we are showing the radius, and we are showing the parameters also after the computation. So I hope we don't have any problem in this program. Let's figure out if any problem we have, and let's quickly run this. So this is the first statement. Hello Java again. The radius of the circle is 1.0. Okay, so first circle we have set it with radius 1. The area of a circle is pi r square. Okay, so r into r is 1, and obviously pi is 3.14. And then the parameter of the circle is 2 pi r. So 2 into 3.14, which is 6.28, and then the value is 1 multiplied by this expression, so 6.28. Then the radius of the second circle is 5.0. The area of the circle is 78.5, and the parameter now in this case it is 31.400. So again, congratulations, you have created the first class easily, very easily, without any a difficulty. So you have created 3 different things in that, and then you have created the objects of these class also, and you have called all the objects. Similarly, students, you can create a dog class also. You can create dog class also. Just